Oh, well, hello, for Buskers and Buskers of the Maverick Nation. It is I, the Dark Maverick, and oh my goodness gracious, darling. We're going to be working on two new things. One, a continuation of an old little movie thing that I tried to do, the first one that I ever tried to do, and this second one. Technically the first one because this will be the first one that I'm recording. Oh, something that... What if Izuku Midoriya was, drumroll please, that's the best we could get, was the Terminator? I can never get it to be like how Nice Peter does it whenever he, in that rap battle, whenever he was announcing the names. Like, the Terminator! You guys might be wondering, why do a movie like for this? Well, because really, the Terminator is most famous for the movies. I'm pretty sure, you know, and Arnold, but he's the one who's in the movies. So yeah, every time Arnold comes around, everybody's gonna get excited because new Terminator. So yeah, you guys are probably gonna be wondering, what kind of Terminator? Like, are we talking T-1000, T-800? Like, what kind of Terminator are we talking about? Are we talking about, like, save the world from Armageddon? Or put the world into Armageddon? Well, you guys will just have to see once everything is... Yes, I believe it is time to start. We would begin in the time in the future in which My Hero Academia takes place. Whichever year that is, I don't know, and I don't care. Anyways, so many different, people would just be having a good time. It would just, everything would just be all nice and happy and shit. And, well, one of those people would be someone by the name of Tetsu. And, he would have found someone by the name of Kirishima, and he would have decided that he would want to hang out with him, seeing as their quirks were similar. And after hanging out with, him for a while, Kirishima would then ask Tetsu if, he had heard about the two kids who were pretty much erased off of the face of the earth, like all records, pretty much. At least was tried to erase from the earth. And that's whenever, Kirishima, after saying that to Tetsu, Tetsu would kind of be like, wait, are you another one of those resistance type guys, preparing for machine Armageddon. I kind of find that offensive considering how my quirk works. And Kirishima would be like, no, 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 that's not it all. No, 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 no. That's more my parents' thing. They're all the time thinking that the world would end at any second. No, 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 no. I think we're pretty good with all the pro heroes around. And Tetsu would say, good, you're not crazy. Just your parents. Well, if you honestly would like to know about two kids, what were their names? Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo? Well, one of them escaped. The other one escaped, but in a different way from the one that escaped first. And I think with actual different goals than the first one to escape. Yeah, almost like they decided to just abandon ship for different reasons. And when Kirishima would then get excited about this, they'll be like, what different reasons? And Tetsu would be like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. And Kirishima would be like, wait, isn't that Izuku Midoriya kid supposed to be quirkless? And that's whenever Tetsu would kind of perk up a little and be like, that's right. That's the thing. It was the second one to escape. Katsuki, he was the first. And they're missing directives? From what I've been told, from what people always believe to be the truth, the mission directives were a little bit along the lines of, the crazy ass beliefs of your crazy ass family. And, Kirishima will just be like, okay. So, machine apocalypse? And Tetsu would be like, yeah, that was kind of. I think they said something about it being more of the Katsuki kids thing. And people, hell and high water, have no idea the deal with the whole Izuku kid. They haven't even seen either of those kids around, so no one really even knows if the whole machine apocalypse thing is even going to be a thing. And then Kirishima would remember, wait, isn't that Katsuki kid supposed to have an explosion quirk? And Tetsu would be like, well, he was showing signs of one, but before, well, really, they were able to actually say that that was what was going on. That's around the time that they were abducted. Or taken, whatever was going on. Kirishima would just be like, Tetsu, you know what this means, right? Those kids, both of them, both Katsuki and Izuku. We have to find both of them so we can set this straight and prevent a machine apocalypse. I mean, if that's actually possible, then, the best thing to do would be to prevent it, right? Change the future by altering events of the past. Like if one thing in the past is supposed to happen one way, and then we change it to where it happens a different way, or it doesn't happen at all, then in the future, that future that was supposed to be preordained as to one thing, it will be another. And basically, Kazutetsu and Kirishima, after a long time of like serious business face looks at each other, it would just be like, shake on it. And, that would mean that Tetsu and Kirishima would indeed be looking for any signs of the adopted children. And, well, they would kind of get a little bit of a hint as to what was going on whenever eventually the whole thing with the UA entrance exams. Everybody coming in, well, Kirishima and Tetsu would be part of those everybody. They would basically be taking, like, they'd both be taking, they realized that they were both taking the entrance exam for UA. But then they would also realize that there were two people that especially stood out against everyone else that were also kinda, oh boy. Actually, no. What they realize is one specific individual at first, but then another one would walk in. And whenever the test would start, all of a sudden the two individuals would have disappeared before Kirishima or Tetsu could have questioned them. Their names would show up on the board as a bunch of glitched up messes. Like, unreadable. Like, anyone who tried to, like, fix this glitch in the programming, it would just mess up the board even more. And, well, basically, whenever they finally got the board back onto stat, basically how everything was standing is eventually, whenever they got their exception letters, Kirishima would basically call Tetsu, and Tetsu would be like, "Oh, you're the one calling me now this time, eh, buddy?" And Kirishima would be like, "Yeah, I'm getting into 1A, and I'm pretty sure you already aware that you're getting into." And Tetsu would be like, "Yes, Class 1B." Apparently, whatever happened with the board, they just didn't want to do that much more work on the whole thing. They felt that it was more of a waste of their time, so they didn't bother trying to double check my score, so I got stuck in with all the other 1Bs. Well, at least I'm happy for you, Kirishima. Kirishima would be like, yeah, thanks. Someone has to be. And Tetsu would be like, huh? Someone has to be. Does that mean? Never mind. And they would just end conversation. And the next time anything mysterious is reported being heard of is, well, basically, Tetsu would have gone out for lunch and, like, just for a bite to eat, with some of his allowance money, just because he was tired of, like, home lunches. He wanted to treat himself after, at least getting into Class 1B. I mean, at least he got into Class 1B, not like General Studies. At least he got into Class 1B. I mean, he felt that that was a good enough reason to treat himself, at least a little bit. So, he went to the standard, diner, one of the standard diner places, down the road, and decided to treat himself to something extra special with the money that he had. And that's whenever all of a sudden a blast would be heard. Like a blast, like a powerful sound from a gunshot straight through the glass. And, next thing Tetsu knew, everybody would literally either be duck and cover or freaking running like chickens with their heads cut off. Which for some of them it would soon be the case. Someone would walk through the broken shards of glass, not really looking like they felt any sort of type of pain. Tetsu would indeed be, someone who would be hiding. Tetsu would have just made a break for it and decided that he was going to hide so he could observe the situation. Like, assess the situation, make sure everything, is, like, doable. Like, whatever's doable is doable, he'll do. Tetsu, you would basically see this person. They would be mostly wearing a lot of black. And they would also be wearing sunglasses, black sunglasses. And this person who had started this entire thing to begin with, because Tetsu would soon realize he was the one holding the gun. And then he would just point the gun towards the cashier's face and be like, "Do you know where they are? Where are they? And where is he?" And the person would be like, "They? He? I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Be more specific." And then the person wearing all of the black and with the gun would just start choking out the cashier, like, and he would just be like, "Where are they? And where is he?" Cyberdyne Model 101 speaking. And Tetsu would be like, "Wait, Model 101? Does that mean that does mean he's..." And then he would just see the red glow behind the sunglasses. And Tetsu's basically worst fears would be confirmed. His parents were right. Machine apocalypse. And it all starts with this guy. Apparently. But he would want to know where they and where he was. Like, apparently, so he wants to know where several people are. Like, okay. And Tetsu would just start to harden up with his special quirk and just run up to the guy and suck him real good. However, it will only cause a person's head to tilt slightly. And he would just smack Tetsu away almost straight through the window. So he would feel several shards of glass go straight into his back. It almost seemed as if he was upside down. And, well, Tetsu, after fully recovering and everything, he would get his mind back to stat and everything. He'd be like, what do you mean by they and him? Like, if you can't be specific with him, be specific with me. After all, I did just now notice that I was able to make somewhat of an impact on you, otherwise your head wouldn't have moved the way it did. And then whatever the thing was would just have their head turned towards him and just be like, noted, you, where are they and where is he? And then Tetsu would kind of, think of a broad idea. He would start to speak in some sort of binary code, like just like 101000101000000010. Kind of speak like that to this guy. See if he could get into his programming, figure out who they and who he is. Like also, especially who he is and there, like everywhere. And well, basically, what Tetsu would get in response is basically the person would just be like, I see. So even this far back, there were advanced carbon life forms. You're one of them, one of the future resistance. You are one of them, one of the ones who needs to be terminated. The other one, simply known in my files as Kirishima. You notified me that your name was Tetsu. So the other one, Kirishima, it is known that you were friends with him, and your friendship only grew closer as the impending doom of your own carbon life form race. You humans, dying more and more by the picosecond. And then Tetsu would just be like, well, so wait, you're wanting to know so you can kill us? Because we're supposed to be part of this future resistance? To save the lives of humans? What does that mean? And the person will just say, yes, originally Izuku Midoriya, now Cyberdyne Miles 101. And, Tetsu will just be like, so, they started making human molds of Terminators? I only thought this shit happened in the movies. But it's real. And you're one of the results of it. That other guy who disappeared, just like you did. He's another one of them. Another one of those Cyberdyne models. And Izuku would be like, you know the one I wish to know? Where he is? After I take you out and take out the carbon life form known as Kirishima, I will take out the other one. And Tetsu would be like, wait, why would you take out one of your own kind? Or terminate them, whatever. And, the Terminator standing before him would just basically be like, Terminator. Basically, this thing standing before Tetsu would just be like, Terminator. Does not compute, yet does indeed sound interesting. You may consider me a Terminator. And Tetsu, like, basically, he would just be like, you're a Terminator. That means the other one, the one you're after besides me and Kirishima, is also a Terminator. But a different type of model of Terminator. One made to be stronger than you. By the simplicity of the code that I was able to observe from just merely trying to speak with you in your own special type of language. And then the Terminator standing before him would just be like, indeed. However, you will not stop me. You are merely just a roadblock. My prime directive is to kill you, Kirishima, and face off against my Terminator brethren. The other Cyberdyne models sent to the past to correct mistake made, mistake known as, and then Tetsu would just interrupt him, the mistake known as the human resistance against you guys. Actually, no, I think he was sent back to the past for a different reason. Seeing as it seems to be so easy to hack up into your programming, all you have to do is know exactly how to get into your head, like how I was able to. Since when I said easy, like easy peasy lemon squeezy, it seems the other model would be the one, their mission, after executing any carbon life form that Cyberlife would want them to. Their next prime directive in this past would be to kill the only other Terminator left in this past besides themselves, and then report back to Cyberlife in the future to see what has changed for their better. And then, this just Terminator standing before, like, Tetsu would just drop the cashier and just be like, how do you know about, something? Something tells me you are not wrong. But how am I to defy my own programming, my own prime directive of executing you and Kirishima? And now I know why I'm to square off with the other model after I am to execute them. If not, he would. We wouldn't be squaring off. It would be my execution happening. And Tetsu would just be like, well, simple. Just let me do what I was doing before, or at least something similar to it. Just calm down enough to where I can be allowed to be inside your mind once more. And your little prime directive whole thing, I can fix that up in a jiffy. Now that you know what you're basically marching yourself towards, your own execution, I bet you'd be a lot more willing for me to rewrite your prime directive. Or directives. And, Izuku would just nod like, indeed. And then he would get on his knees, and Kirishima would just see a little spot in the back of his head. And basically, whenever he would open the little spot thing, Tetsu would, harden up again. But then he would make an imprint on the little thing that he would see inside of his neck. And while he was making the imprint, he would start to speak to him again. 0010010001000100010. And then he would stop and then close the area in the back. And then he would ask for this Terminator to stand up and turn around to face him. But he wouldn't just call him a Terminator. No. In that time in which he was switching up his prime directives, he would have also given him a more, he would have basically just given him his own identity, his own name. It would basically just be like, stand up and turn to face me. Izuku Terminator. Yes, Izuku Terminator. And, well, it would basically do exactly that. Or should I say, not really should I say that, because technically it's still a robot. The whole thing about the directives, that's kind of the whole robot thing. Basically, it would do that. And basically, Tetsu would just be like, is everyone here okay? Don't worry. He's with us now. Before, someone had sent him back over to what they considered the past, along with another one of a similar model. However, the similar model, after completing their own prime directives, their last one being killing off this one, and then returning to the future to see if anything had changed for the better of that specific company creating these beings. I have now officially given him a name. Izuku Terminator. And, not really all that good with social skills. He would just be like, greetings, carbon life forms. And Tetsu, Tetsu, he would just be like, yeah, well, he's still not going to be all that good with socializing, considering, his other programming. I was only able to go in so far, so I had to put up a couple me-style firewalls in order to make sure that no antibodies were built, to resist the reprogramming that was being done to him. So, yeah. He's with us now, but he's still going to be a little bit awkward whenever it comes to the social skills. Tetsu would be heading out, and he would go directly towards his own place, and, he would explain everything, and then he would be like, I need to go to Kirishima's place, explain everything there to them, and that would happen. But the whole thing about, you know, you know, uh, just simply been called Izuku lately, would just be like, I wish to indeed come with you. But Tetsu would basically just be like, it would probably be a good thing if you weren't coming with me. Don't worry, me and my buddy will come to you. I reprogrammed most of what I could of your initial prime directives given to you by Cyberlife. But just in case, you should probably stay somewhere around here. This area. And, Izuku Terminator will basically just be like, I will indeed do so, if it appeases you. And Tetsu would be like, oh, don't be uncool like that, man. And then, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. He would say the thing, hasta la vista, Tetsu. Hasta la vista. And Tetsu would just be like, good God, he is smooth, but oh, in all the most painful ways, I feel so bad. I know this guy was sent here to kill us, but there's an even more ruthless bot out there who would definitely kill us, no matter what we try to do to reprogram it. Them. I'm actually beginning to believe that Bakugo might actually be the other bot. The other Terminator. And, well, Tatsu would go over in Kirishima. They would talk. Two of them would talk, and eventually Izuku would get mentioned, and everything about how Tetsu, with his version of a regular, like, hardening quirk, with his version of it, the metal, like the iron one, his version of it, with his version of it, he was kind of able to fix the problem, or at least half of the problem, seeing as there's actually two Terminators out here now. And one of them was actually supposed to execute, as their last final, like, prime directive, execute the other one, the one that Tetsu currently has under his own custody. And, he would also be like, yeah, and Kirishima, we also have to kind of tell their parents about this. Mitsuki and Inko. And, well, Kirishima will be like, I don't think we should say anything to Mitsuki yet. I mean, if the other one is supposed to be the one who, well, yeah, I just think we should only say something to Inko, just to minimize, any sort of damage done. And, well, Tetsu will just be like, Well, now it's time to pick up the pieces. First of all, we have to find Izuku, and then we go Terminator hunting for real style. Save the entire future of our world before it can be ruined by cyberlife. And that's whenever Kirishima would just be like, but wait, isn't the number one, like, hero, like, symbol of peace and justice? Doesn't he kind of, like cyberlife? You know, cyberlife is already around, but they just haven't gone on the whole crazy rampage. Like, machine, like, Armageddon. So basically, Kirishima would be like, doesn't All Might kind of like them? And Tetsu would be like, well, that's the next thing that we're going to be doing. I guess there's a little bit of a detour. Once we find Izuku, we find All Might, get him informed on everything, with living, breathing proof of, the apocalyptic future if cyberlife isn't stopped and the other bot isn't stopped. The other Terminator isn't stopped. So yeah, basically, get Izuku, find All Might, tell him everything with one of the Terminators reprogrammed. Well, even though he's reprogrammed, still a Terminator. In his face, like right in front of his face. And then we go Terminator hunting for the other Terminator. And, well, Hiroshima was like, that's a plan I like, actually. Sounds something like I can get behind. And then two people just come out of nowhere. Two people who apparently are going to be classmates of Kirishima. One of them being Tenya Ida, the other one being Ochaka Uraraka. They'd basically just be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Before you guys go do something stupid, I think you should get a bigger crew if you're going to actually convince anyone of anything. And, actually stop this apocalyptic future shit. So, yeah. Basically, Ida and Ochaka are allowed to go with them. Kirishima and Tetsu. And even someone, is just like, Hitchhiker Thumb, and they just be like, we don't pick up hitchhikers. And then Shinso would be like, there's my quirk for you. Pick me up. And then all of a sudden, Kirishima would be like, sure. And then Tetsu would be like, what? And then Shinso would be like, apparently I'm going to be in general studies. Name's Shinso. Hitoshi Shinso, in fact. I've been hearing about certain whispers of a plan to overthrow cyberlife before they can go all machine apocalypse crazy. And, well, considering you have a living, breathing example of one of those things right here, yeah, I'm pretty much inclined to believe you wholeheartedly. And Izuku would just be like, you too. Yeah, Shinso and Izuku. First of all, Shinso wouldn't be able to use his quirk on Izuku, considering he's a Terminator in this. And Terminators are machines, like really advanced ones, that probably people would, expect something like that to come their way, and so they would program in a way where a quirk, even one that would be like mind messing with, like Shinso's quirk. So yeah, Shinso, Uraraka, Ida, Kirishima, Tetsutetsu, and did I indeed mention Izuku? They would all basically just be heading off. Members of 1A, like future members of 1A, a future member of General Studies, and a future member of 1B, and even someone who could have possibly been a future member of 1A had they not been abducted and had all that experimental shit done to them, to create a more humanistic like Terminator than originally thought. And Izuku would be like, the other one, the one who is to execute me if we fail. Uh, he could have been a part of this 1A as well, with all of his intel and tech. He would have been a very good candidate for such a prestigious school and a class top of the line of such a prestigious school. Hero school, even. I don't believe in heroes. However, I am willing to believe that we can indeed give this hero society a second chance. To show that they are worth saving. If we are able to stop Cyberlife, we can fix things. And well, that would kind of resonate with everyone. Like giving people a second chance, like giving this future a second chance, like, to change from something like the apocalyptic future of, chaos ridden cyberlife to a future where people can even have lives that are better than the ones they originally had. People can be happy, can stay happy, you know? So, because of Izuku's little itty bitty speech, everyone's extra motivated to do this now. So, yeah. Oh boy. Eventually, everyone would get to something of a scene of a hero versus villains kind of thing, where, there would be a villain and then there would be a hero. The hero would be wearing a special suit. They would notice that suit, like all of them except for Izuku, because Izuku's a Terminator now. would notice who the Jesus Christ. Huh? Why did you say that? Oh my God, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Anyways, after having a freaking heart attack, well, they would see the hero, they would see that it was All Might, and the villain that he would be fighting, this would be the sludge villain, unable to find, like, an actual good host. Because even whenever he, like, found someone that he thought he could get inside of, it turns out they were a mean mofo, and just ended up wrecking his shit, and leaving him for All Might to just pick up the pieces. And, well, pretty much everything that the sludge villain is saying while, like, trying to dodge All Might is, like, some crazy, like that guy. And, the sludge villain would just be pointing towards Izuku, and Izuku would be like, he's already been here. And so, yeah. Eventually, All Might would finally just beat the crap out of the sludge villain, and, have someone else take him to the police, because apparently these kids need him as a private audience for something. And apparently, the kids, they say, this person that pointed it out, who was the person who attacked him, probably, you know, it was the other one. And then All Might would remember the two kids that were believed to have just vanished off the face of the earth. Izuku Midoriya and Bakugo, like, Izuku Midoriya and Bakugo Katsuki. And, just looking at the kid, and All Might would just be like, I'm so sorry. It would just be like, I'm so sorry. I wasn't there to be the hero you needed. I should be able to be the symbol of peace. And what kind of symbol of peace would I be if I wasn't everyone's hero? And, just, this would kind of jog something in Izuku's head. Like a memory. And he would just be like, Toshinori. That is your name. Toshinori. And All Might would be like, how do you... And then Izuku would just finish with like, Toshinori Yagi. I gave up about heroes a long time ago. Especially now figuring out that one of my own kind is going to try to kill me. The other one you all know as Katsuki Bakugo, he has been turned into the other one. And his last prime directive, while he is still in this past, this rather peaceful past, might I add, a lot less skulls and, well, smog. Like, a lot less, like, skulls and, just robot death machines everywhere. A lot less of that. Yes. After executing me, he would indeed be, sent back into what these carbon life forms are going to know as An apocalyptic future. The apocalyptic future created by Cyberlife's own imagining nightmarish fever dream bots. Tetsu calls us Terminators, and Kirishima seems to back that up. Tetsu, of course, being my new master. And Tetsu would just be like, I thought I told him to stop calling me that. Well, then again, I did sort of kind of reprogram him using my quirk. I really don't seem to remember how exactly I even got that to work that way. And All Might would just be like, so, even Katsuki, and he's supposed to kill you before he returns back to the apocalyptic future? Tell me, in this apocalyptic future, am I at least there to help the resistance groups? And, Izuku just gives him this look, and his red eye starts to glow up and just be like something similar to like a Terminator's version of full cowling. And he'd be like, if you were alive, there wouldn't have to be any resistance groups. All Might would just be like, wait, what? And Izuku would just be like, you heard what I said. If you were alive in that time, then there would have not been any need for any futuristic resistance groups. At least if you're as powerful as they say you are. That basically just tells All Might, he is not alive in the future. And so All Might's just like, well then, I guess that makes it settled. And he would just call up Sir Not-Eye, and he'd just be like, Not-Eye? And Not-Eye would be like, yes, sir? And All Might would just be like, cancel my appointment with Cyberlife. I don't want any part of what they will eventually become. Oh, and considering everything else, what is it that you said, young Midoriya? And you'd just be like, oh, I'd like for you to not call me that. Just stop calling me that. What I said was, and then it would just cut to, like Sir Night would have actually accidentally had not, All Might on speakerphone, and it would just be like, Hasta la vista, baby. Yes. Like, Izuku and would have basically just shared with him his famous line, and he would just be like, tell Cyberlife All Might says, Hasta la vista, baby. And he would just hang up. And, it would just be like, it's just, Sir Nai would just be like, oh dear goodness, Jesus great Christ, oh God. Like, damn, that's gonna hit Cyberlife hard, losing All Might. But he definitely didn't seem genuine whenever he said those last words. Well, looks like I have to make a call to Cyberlife. And then eventually, All Might and everyone else would have made it to the Cyberlife main headquarters building. But someone right in front of them stopping them before they could actually make it there. Just stopping them with sheer strength alone. And Kirishima would be like, "Whoa, Tetsu, I thought we were the only ones who that were like that much hardened in power." And then the dude would just flip the truck over, and All Might would be like, "Brace yourselves, everyone!" It would just be like, he would know that not everyone would be able to really brace themselves, so he would act like a protective cushion, and then Izuku would just get him out of the way and be like, "Your help is not needed," and then he would just be like, Izuku would go underneath, and he would just like throw the freaking truck that they were riding in up in the air, and as everyone would be falling down, he would just be like, he would just like beep, and then all of a sudden, like a freaking motorcycle would just go by, and everybody would just be plopped onto it. And they'd be like, "Well, what the shit was that? Are you telling me?" Like, dude, freaking Tetsu, are you going to tell me that that guy can summon freaking motorcycles at will? And by actually doing that and like connecting it to the truck, he was able to actually like freaking get us onto our feet before the fall could do any serious damage. And Shinso would be like, quick and easy answer for that is look and see for yourself. I about had a heart attack myself, like legit trying to keep up with how fast everything was moving. Even Shinso himself would realize that he's usually not this vocal, but he got scared enough for that exact moment to actually be like, "Oh my god, I'm going to die," and then all of a sudden proven wrong. And then they would see the one who caused the truck to flip with their own hands right in front of them, right in front of Izuku. Well. Neither of them are dead, yet you're still here for your execution. My final prime directive before I return to the future. And, Izuku would have just been like, wrong, asshole. And then it would just be like, you just point over there, and the Katsuki freaking Terminator would just look over and be like, wait, the motorcycle is open, and bam! He would have just like pressed the button again, and it would have just reeled the motorcycle back into motion, and then like caused it to go in reverse. And so he would have gotten reverse tagged by a motorcycle all the way into a truck. And then the truck would kind of fall off into like a pit. And then like whenever it fell and finally hit the ground, it would have hit the ground so hard that it would kind of be crushed under the own pressure of gravity, and like all of the pieces would have just crushed and stabbed into them. But then they would hear an awkward sound, a sound of like liquid metal. And that's whenever Izuku would be like, "Your services are now needed again. If you are still to be the number one hero, then your services are now needed again. Go, save them. I can do this." And be like, "Hey, go, save them. I can do this." And All Might would just see like the liquid metal like reforming the Katsuki like Terminator, and All Might would just be like, "Oh shit." And Shinso would be like, "Oh shit is right, let's get the hell out of here." And Tetsu would kind of be like the only person who wouldn't have left with everyone else. And, Izuku would be like, "What are you doing? Why are you not going? Go! Get to the pro hero! I just had to do that. It's like, go, get to the pro hero! And Tetsu had just been like, if I'm your master, that means you're my responsibility. I can't have people like him breaking my responsibilities. Now can I? You know, now can I, buddy of mine? And the liquid metal would finally start finish reforming everything, and basically the Katsuki Terminator would just be like, wrong move. And he would just charge straight for him, try to put a freaking hand through his chest. But yeah, Izuku ain't having any of that. So he would just basically grab the Katsuki guy, grab him by the arm and be like, no, not on your life. Not on anyone's life. Not here, not today. Not anywhere, not any day. He would just be like, just throw him up, slam him into the ground, and pick him up by basically the collar and be like, you used to be Katsuki Bakugo. I used to be Izuku Midoriya. It seems we shall meet again as who we really are. In hell. And Tetsu would be like, dude, what did I just say? And, Izuku would be like, sorry, but I can't do that. It is not my planned directive of who I am deep inside. A robot with a soul. A Terminator with a heart. And, he would have just light a match and just be like, you see everything around you. That's why my master must run. And then Tetsu would be like, oh yeah, a lot of flammable shit. Like, wait, no. Crap. I don't have time for this. Damn it. Damn you for making me actually care. And then, Tetsu would just run off where everybody else was. And, the final little spark would just... And then he would just be like, boop. And then be like... And the explosion would just send Tetsu flying. And he would just start hardening up to brace for impact. And then Kirishima, seeing him going straight towards them, would start hurrying up to catch him and brace for impact. And he would start to actual drag, and would be tearing apart his socks and shoes. Kirishima's socks and shoes. But he'd be damned if his actual buddy got actually hurt. Well, technically, you couldn't stop everything from not being hurt, considering what just happened. Yes, deep inside of Tetsu, there would be pain. So much pain. And then Kirishima would realize he's back there with the other one, isn't he? He's accepted his destiny. And, Tetsu will just be like, no, he's accepted our destinies for us, for the future. He sacrificed himself. And in doing so, rid us of that one. Now there's no way we can't tell both Inko and Mitsuki. It's inescapable. And, basically, Shinso would be like, guys, where the hell is All Might? And All Might would just, he would have just seen everything, just everything that went down, and he'd be like, no, I will not have this. And he would just like, be like, Cyberlife, you will pay for what you have done to the lives of these children. And even breaking the heart of one of the others that you hadn't already destroyed their will. Tetsu, I'm sorry, but this must be done. And he'd just basically be like, you are Momo Yaoyorozu, right? And Momo would be like, yeah, but why do you need to call me up instead of my parents? And Alma would just be like, your quirk. You can create things, right? And Momo would be like, oh, you're wanting me to create something for you? And Alma's like, damn straight. Create a cannon. And, like, Momo would be like, which direction? And Alma would be like, he would point directly, just basically, to the top floor of Cyberlife. And Momo would be like, okay, you're absolutely insane, but whatever. You're still #1 pro hero. Symbol of peace and justice and all that shit. Yep. Here we go. Here's a cannon. Pointed in that direction. And now what do you think about doing? And I'm like, something I've never thought of doing before. Fusing attacks. United States of Smash in one hand, plus Ultra in the other. And Momo would be like, wait, aren't those your two strongest attacks? And Momo would be like, please indeed do like the fuse, please. Any day now. We're still young. And Momo would be like, okay, fine, whatever. And, like, and just sit all night flying. He would crash through, and he would yell, United States of plus Ultra Smash! And then the person running Cyberlife would just be like, oh shit! And be like, oh shit is right, you son of a BAM! And he would just explode on contact. And, just cause each and every, floor to, cave in on itself. Slowly making the Cyberlife building just crumble to pieces. And out from the rubble would be All Might, covered in blood. However, torched pieces around him, torched pieces of basically people that had been missing for quite some time. They were during the process of being turned into the first initial test of actual, and and basically just be like torched remains of the first few initial tries at the whole Terminator thing before Cyberlife could spin out of control. And All Might would have just destroyed it all. Just like United States of plus Ultra Smash. And he would have just done that just out of pure rage and vengeance for basically the death of two people who could have become great heroes if they had let become great heroes instead of being abducted by Cyberlife. And the destruction, basically the destruction of Tetsu's like a big hole in Tetsu's heart because of the fact that it actually built up quite the bond with, his Terminator friend. And, just knowing that he would basically just sacrifice himself to ensure the future was safe from the top Terminator threats of any kind. And All Might would just be like the one to be like the second half of that plan. The second half being basically scraping Cyberlife off the map. Because Cyberlife would have started up in Japan, and so that would be like the only Cyberlife building so far. And they wouldn't build any more buildings till they were sure this whole Terminator thing would work. However, they weren't able to make sure that it worked because it got destroyed before they could even finish. By All Might's power. And All Might would just kind of cave, and then Momo would just be like, All Might. And All Might would just pluck a hair, and he'd just be like, this. You should still have some time before the embers go out, even after I die. If you conceal it in a perfect encasing, whenever the time is right, whenever there's truly someone who is worthy of the title, #1 hero, symbol of peace and justice, all throughout the world, not just Japan, but the world itself. No apocalyptic Armageddon type future. No. A golden beacon of hope for all of us. And Momo would be like, yes, of course. And, basically everything that All Might told her to do, she would do. The last little ember of One for All would be encased and stored somewhere. Very, very secretive. So the Yaoyorozus would be the ones in control of who became the next symbol of peace. They would have all that control in their hands. And, well, who would become the next symbol of peace? Well, it just so turns out that one day, while Tetsu and Kirishima are having a sleepover, playing some video games, they would get a phone call, and it would be from the Yaoyorozu residence. Tetsu would pick it up, letting Kirishima have some time, and Tetsu would be like, yes, this is Tetsu of the Tetsu residence speaking. May I ask what it is you're calling about? And Momo would just be like, oh, it's Momo Yaoyorozu of the Yaoyorozu residence. And, my parents say that I'm old enough now to officially make a judgment on who can become the next symbol of peace. And that before they are given the quirk, I should have an audience with them in front of the public. To let everyone know that this new symbol of peace can be trusted, and will also be very strong symbol of peace. People need that kind of reassurance, that type of, something to help them sleep at night, And basically Tetsu would be like, and how exactly does that involve anything to do with me? And Momo was like, well, not exactly, but yes, exactly. Your friend, who you were all sore about, him being gone? And Tetsu would be like, Do you just enjoy making people suffer by bringing that shit up? And Momo would be like, no, 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 no. You got me completely wrong. In fact, I'm actually being held at gunpoint. And he really wants to be on the phone. So, yeah, just so that I don't get a cap through my head. Here you go, big boy. And Tetsu would be like, wait, what? And then he would just hear, hmm, master. And Tetsu would basically be like, oh my god, Kirishima? I'll put him on speakerphone. Beep. And would just be like, yes? And Kirishima would be like, put who on speakerphone? And why? And basically he would just hear, oh yes, Kirishima, you're alive as well. It seems that I was not yet meant to die. In fact, something inside of me, my heart, my soul, still persisted even after everything that Cyberlife had to do to me in order to turn me like this. It still persisted long after the initial explosion. I was slowly able to piece myself back together. So, yes, you heard it right. I was never gone. And Tetsu would just be like, oh yeah, don't you ever worry me like that again. Oh my god. Oh, it's so... I'm not crying, you're crying, or maybe someone's just chopping onions. And Kirishima would be like, well, actually, we're not supposed to be having onion salad tonight. No, I actually think one of your parents is allergic to onions. Tetsu. Oh, whatever. You shut up. Why'd you gotta do that to me, man? I'm so freaking sad, worried. It's all my fault. And then he would actually kind of get a little weirded out whenever it was like, don't worry about it. In fact, we can all celebrate. After all, there's enough human components inside of me that I'd be able to accept the quirk. So, Momo's going to drive me over, even though I already told her I know how to drive. It's in my programming. She has insisted that she drive me over. And the butler insisted that that wouldn't be a needed thing to happen. That they would drive us both over. You guys are basically having a sleepover. Why not add two more to the picture? And Tetsu would be like, oh my god, you've gotten so much better at social skills. And Izuku would be like, really? I didn't seem to have noticed, but actually, yeah, I kind of do feel more like a people person, even though I know I'm not, that I'm still a Terminator. And then, like, Tetsu would be like, the person, Terminator, doesn't matter, whoever you are, whatever you're supposed to be. You're always gonna be my buddy. And, can't have you just cropping out on me like that. You can't just do that to me, we're supposed to be buddies. And, Izuku would just be like, sorry, I just didn't see any other way. And Momo would just kind of be blushing a little at this little interaction in between the two of them. And then Izuku would notice the blushing, and he would just be like, girl, what the hell are you turning red for? That's my thing, and it's only with my eye. And Momo was just like, that's what us humans call blushing, Izuku. And Izuku would be like, oh yeah, that's right. You get all emotional and you start blushing, as you say. Anyways, we should be over in no time. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a Terminator 1 / Terminator 2 type storytelling thing that I was going for there. And yeah, because of what I just said, that basically tells you, unless I have any future plans, this is where it stops. Because I do indeed like where I'm stopping. A good stopping point. And if you guys are wondering, like, if society is going to think negatively about him for being a Terminator, and one of the Terminators was supposed to, like, bring about all this, chaos and shit, well, that kind of starts to happen. That is until the whole sacrifice of All Might is brought up, and how All Might didn't just do it for the, normally, like, people, but he also did it for, someone who was already ready and raring to go to sacrifice themselves. All Might was actually kind of inspired to sacrifice himself by just the mere fact that Izuku was willing to sacrifice himself. And, people basically being like, wait, is that true? This Terminator inspired All Might to sacrifice himself for the good of all of us? And, just everything would have just changed for the better. No discrimination against Izuku for being a Terminator, because it's because of what he did whenever he was, like, All Might was still around and he knew him. Like, it's because of what he did, his decision to sacrifice himself, even though that really didn't pan out like most people, including Cough Cough Tetsu Tetsu, thought that was going to be. Like, even though technically he's still alive, but never mind that. If this guy is the inspiration for what All Might did to save us all from Cyberlife's, cybernetic Armageddon future, if this guy is the reason why All Might was inspired to do what he did for the better of all of us, then, he shouldn't be discriminated upon. This guy deserves to be treated as well as anybody else. So basically, that's everyone's train of thought after hearing about the actual reason why All Might sacrificed himself is because of Izuku's willingness to sacrifice himself. Even though that didn't actually end up happening, that Izuku somehow was able to build himself back up. He even thinks that he might actually have some upgrades due to, the liquid metal interacting with his original body. Upgrades from, the programming of, the other Terminator. So he's like, call me, for now on, call me Izuku 850. As in reference to the T-850 in Terminator, I believe, 2. The T-850. So just, Izuku's like, my, the guy who was supposed to execute me and me are kind of merging together. However, my will and my heart are kind of outweighing his. Like, anything that could come up to the surface, deal with him. So yeah, he's like, actually, call me Izuku A50. I like the ring of that. And so yeah. And if you guys are worrying about, like, if the League would want Izuku 850, hell no, the League don't want to mess with the freaking Terminator. They saw what he could do. Like, and they're like, yeah, we don't want to mess with that guy. He does not look like someone who we should mess with. So there would be a lot less League activity. And as for the Yakuza, they're just like scared so shitless that they just decide to disband. Like, disband completely. And as for the Metal Liberation Army, they're basically going to be considered like fake cyberlife continuation. Like, basically kind of like the whole Bane thing with like Ra's al Ghul's destiny and all that shit in Dark Knight Rises. That's basically going to be what the Metal Liberation Army are going to be turned into because of this story. Just fake cyberlife, like freaking wannabes. And they don't even actually know what CyberLife was actually planning. So just the fact that they're even like fake CyberLife wannabes, like fake or wannabes, like not just one but both, and CyberLife of all things, yeah, things would not end well with Destro and the Metal Liberation Army. In fact, people would not frown upon what Izuku would end up doing to Redestro. He would just be like, let's just Sub-Zero fatality this guy. Freaking create the ESRB rating, recreate it, like, rip the dude's head off. That would just be like, Izuku would be like, I wouldn't be any happier for any other person to be able to do this to. And he would just be like, oh, sentence for termination. Just be putting the sunglasses on, and Redestro would be like, oh, isn't it Mr. Sunglasses all the time? And even before he could be able to finish his sentence, like just a shotgun, like, and just shotgun musket, like shotgun bullet straight through the throat. Redestro wouldn't actually be able to talk, and then Izuku would just be like, now terminated. Just rip the guy's head off, clean off. Just like, termination complete. Now, about that quirk, one for all, should get myself cleaned up before I go out to receive that. He would have already dealt with the Yakuza. Well, technically, he would have been able to deal with them individually because they would have disbanded like freaking, like, scared shitless. The only one he would leave alive would be like Eri and Chisaki. Just like giving him a warning, like, if I ever see you again, regardless whoever's watching, if I ever see you again, Chisaki, I will terminate you. I mean, Chisaki, if I ever see you again, you will indeed be targeted for termination, and without fail. And that whole without fail part would be the thing that scared Chisaki the most. And the whole, just even like the prospect of the whole thing, like Terminators, and like whenever they say targeted for termination, that would scare Chisaki like, okay, never gonna have to worry about seeing me again. I'll just hide in a hole. Hopefully not one that you ever come across. And if I want to keep my life. And Izuku, just like seeing Eri, and Eri would be so adorable. And so, yeah. Izuku would basically just be like, something tells me you are going to become a large part of my life moving forward. And Eri's just like, once, and then Izuku would just be like, oh, that? And he would just blast away some graffiti that had some vulgar language on it that Eri saw. He would just blast it away with like a freaking remote mine. And, Izuku would be like, nothing you need to worry about, Miss Eri. And so, yeah. Basically, all the problems would be fixed. And even the whole thing about the whole war arc thing would never happen because the League of Villains would never grow the backbone that they would need to have to actually face off against a freaking Terminator. Like, especially like the one, he calls himself Izuku 850. Like, if you ever hear Izuku 850, like Cyberdyne Model 101, Izuku 850, you are now targeted for termination. Like, if anybody ever hears that, they're like, oh, damn it, I wanted to live just a little bit longer. But then they would just be like, yeah, there's like no point in fighting. It would only make their death more painful. And Izuku only really ends up going after the bad guys. Because, he's friends with the good guys, so he would have evidently just only go after the bad guys. And so, yeah, just like there would be a big old friend circle. Big old friend circle. Eri would be more or less like a partnership in parenting. Like Inko and Mitsuki would want to co-parent Eri because of the fact that they kind of lost their baby boys. Izuku is basically doing his own thing, and he's never really going to tell Inko that who he actually is because he doesn't want to have to deal with the waterworks. He's a robot. He is not a fan of water. When will these people learn? He's okay with Tetsu, like every now and again, or Momo, just because, she's, that way sometimes. But anyone else, like, maybe just a little bit, Kirishima, because, Tetsu and Kirishima are friends. And so, like, maybe a little bit of him, but no one else. No one else. He just already said, like, he doesn't want any of that waterworks shit from anybody. He does not need it around him. If he wants to continue to function, if he desires continuing functionality of his entire thing. And Shinso, Kirishima, Tetsu, Momo, Uraraka, Ida, They'd all be the friend group that I mentioned. Yeah, Tetsu Tetsu, Kirishima, Ida, Uraraka, Shinso, and Momo. That would be Izuku's little friend circle. And well, technically, he is indeed connected with Bakugo. That's how he got upgraded just from regular old Terminator to a 50 model. He took, this liquid metal essence from the Katsuki Terminator model thing, and he kind of made it a part of him so that, he could, like, advance in, like, his technology and all of his, like, living, so that he could basically upgrade himself. And so, yeah. Izuku and Izuku's friend circle. Yeah, that would be how everything would go. Anyways, Alan Z, Anna Dowses, because the direction Africa is LUT out of here. Yeah, boys. Bye. Like, favorite, subscribe, comment in the comment section as long as it's nothing toxic as hell. And the sip of victory sip.